Thus far we have been discussing about the formation of day and night within our earth globe, and same thing can be extrapolated for the entire Jambudvipa and for the entire Bhumandala by the movement of sun upon the Manasuttar mountain covering the 4 township of 4 Lokapalas. Thus the chariot of the sun god travels through the 4 residences in his orbit through a circumference of 95.1 million yojanas on the circle of the earth above Manasuttar mountain continuously from the beginning of Brahma's day till the end of Brahma's day. In a similar way, the moon, along with the other stars and planets, becomes visible in the zodiac belt and then sets in the zodiac belt. In the sense, just the way we see every day morning sun rising and every day evening sun is setting, similarly we see the moon and stars also rising and setting, since they are moving continuously throughout the day. Then, while describing the movements of the sun with in the time wheel, Sukadeva Goswami at one point he mentioned that for the people who are situated on top of Meru, the sun gives heat at all times. Being situated at midday, the sun keeps Meru to the left and to the right simultaneously. This is what Sukadeva Goswami mentioned. Then, hearing that, Parikshit Maharaj was thinking that how is it that the powerful sun god travels around Dhruvaloka with both Dhruvaloka and Mount Meru on his right? At the same time, he faces the zodiac signs and keeps Sumeru and Dhruvaloka on his left. Parikshit asks for a clarification unto Sukadeva Goswami. He says that how can the sun keep Mount Sumeru and Dhruvaloka on both to his left and to his right simultaneously? Daily the sun appears to be moving in a clockwise direction. However, we have said that facing the constellation the sun goes counterclockwise. How can this be conceived, since it is contradictory? So, hearing this question, Sukadeva Goswami replied the motion of the sun with respect to the time wheel with the help of a potter's wheel analogy. Sukadeva Goswami says, just as the motion of ants on the potter's wheel moving in the opposite direction from the rotation of the wheel is different from that of the wheel, because they can be observing moving from place to place on the wheel. The motion of the planets and sun moving with the wheel of time, which is moving clockwise around Meru and Dhruvaloka as seen by the stars, is different from the movement of the wheel of time, since they can be observed moving in different constellations and zodiac signs in the opposite direction. Herein, Sukadeva Goswami says that a potter's wheel which is moving clockwise direction has one ant or many ants on top of it which are moving in the counterclockwise direction. When we see standing from outside, both the potter's wheel and ants are moving in clockwise direction. But when we see within the potter's wheel, the ant is observed to be moving in the counterclockwise direction with respect to potter's wheel. Thus, they are moving in opposite direction to the wheel of the movement of the wheel. Thus, there is no contradiction, since there are two separate movements. One is the movement of the wheel, the second is the movement of the individual entity, the ants on the wheel. So, Sukadeva Goswami finally says that thus we can understand the movement of all these planets. Though they are moving along with the time wheel, but with respect to time wheel, they appears to be moving backward direction. Herein, with the help of this, we can understand the same principle. Just like in a playground, every day morning we see many people continuously moving in the ground in a circular fashion so that they can keep their body fit. So this is how here we can see with the help of 3 boys who are moving continuously in the ground day in, day out, day in, day out. So now let us see on a particular day how these 3 boys are moving in in the circular fashion. So to understand their relative motion, we have divided the circle into 10 parts. Here and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each 10% of the total circumference. And to have more precise distinction between their movements, we have divided the first part into another 10 parts. So thus each small part gives 1% of the total circumference, each big part gives 10% of the total circumference. When the three boys started, they have started at the 0th position. As they were allowed to move for one round, after completion of one round, this is their position. The boy 1 reached to the original position. The boy 2 is behind by 1% to boy 1, and boy 3 is behind by 10% to boy 1. If they are allowed to continue the same speed after 2 rounds, the boy 2 is behind by 2%, the boy 3 is behind by 20%. Then if they are allowed to move further for 10 rounds, then the boy 2 is behind by 10% and boy 3 is behind by 100%. Thus, when boy 1 completed 10 rounds, boy 2 completed 9.9 rounds and boy 3 completed only 9 rounds. If they are allowed to move further, after 11 rounds they are seen, both the boy 2 and boy 3 are seen together, but boy 2 is just behind by 11%, boy 3 is behind by 110%. If they are allowed to move further, after 100 rounds, 3 of them are seen to be at the same position, but the situation is, when boy 1 completed 100 rounds, boy 2 had completed only 99 rounds, going behind by 1 round, and boy 3 completed only 90 rounds, going behind by 10 rounds. This we can understand their forward movement and their backward movement with respect to boy 1. Here in the same thing is tabulated, whatever has been discussed in the previous slide. Here when at the point of when they began their running, all the 3 of them are at the starting point. After completing one round, boy 2 made 0.99 rounds, boy 3 made 0.9 rounds. Thus, they are behind by 1% and 10% respectively. After 2 rounds, boy 2 made 1.98 rounds, boy 3 made 1.8 rounds. Thus, they are behind by 2% and 20%. After 10 rounds, boy 2 made 9.9 rounds, boy 3 made 9 rounds. Thus, they are behind by 10% and 100%, that is 0.1 round and 1 round. After 11 rounds, wherein both boy 2 and boy 3 came together, wherein boy 2 completed 10.89 rounds, boy 3 completed 9.9 rounds. Thus, they are behind by 11% and 110% respectively. After 100 rounds, boy 2 is behind by 1 round and boy 3 is behind by 10 rounds. Thus, they have completed 100 rounds, 99 rounds, 90 rounds respectively. Then, having seen this analogy, wherein the circle is divided into 10 parts and then 100 parts, now just transform the same in terms of degrees. The 100 divisions of cycle can be transformed into a circle of 360 degrees, that is 360 divisions. Then the boy 1 herein can be considered to be the Kala Chakra. The boy 2 herein can be considered to be sun. The boy 3 herein can be considered to be moon. When these 3 allowed to move around the same circular pathway and a circle which is divided into 360 degrees. Now let us see how the distinction in their relative position after completion of various rounds. This is the time wheel in which it is completely superimposed. This is how time wheel continuously rotates, and when he rotates, along with him also moves both sun and moon. When 3 of them are allowed to rotate in a circular fashion after completion of one round, this is what is happening. After completion of one round, the time wheel has reached to the original position. The sun is behind by 1 degree and the moon is behind by 13 degrees. If they are allowed to move for one more round, then it is seen that the sun is behind by 1 more degree, that is 2 degrees. The moon is behind by another 13 degrees, that is total 26 degrees. If they are allowed to move like this, every round the moon is going behind by 13 degrees, the sun is going behind by 1 degree. Thus, the entire details are tabulated here. After one round, sun is behind by 1 degree, moon is behind by 13 degrees. After two rounds, sun is behind by 2 degrees, moon is behind by 26 degrees. Thus, they are allowed to move further and further after the completion of 30 rounds, wherein the time wheel comes to its original position. The moon is behind by 390 degrees. Since it is going behind by 13 degrees after every round, there are 30 rounds. After 30 rounds, it is behind by 390 degrees, and the sun is behind by 30 degrees. Thus, it indicates both the sun and moon are situated at the same position, that is 30th degree. After completing 29 rounds, the sun and the moon had completed 28 rounds and little bit more. Thus, the sun is behind by 1/12th round, the moon is behind by 1 round plus 1/12th round. If they are allowed to move further 360 rounds, the sun is behind by 1 round, thus he is behind by 360 degrees. The moon is behind by 13 rounds, that indicates he is behind by 360 into 13 degrees, that becomes 360 degrees into 13 rounds. So, thus, in 360 rounds, the time wheel makes 360 rounds, and the sun makes 359 rounds, lying behind by 1 round, and the moon makes 347 rounds, lagging behind by 13 rounds. This is what happens. Herein we see in a simulation how when the time wheel, sun and moon are allowed to move in a continuous fashion, after completion of one complete round, what is their relative position. Herein we see the sun is behind by 1 degree and the moon is behind by 13 degrees. That is called one revolution of the time wheel. As this goes similarly ahead and ahead, this herein we can see how it continues further after another revolution. The moon is going far from sun gradually. Thus, after the completion of 2 rounds, we can see the sun is behind by 2 degrees and the moon is behind by 26 degrees. Thus, we can understand the relative motion of both sun and moon with respect to the time wheel. In the two analogies discussed in the past, there is only approximation is considered, but eventually what do we understand with that? As time wheel, sun and move in the clockwise direction based on third person observation, but with respect to time wheel, the sun moves also in the counter clockwise direction. Causing day and night in the earth globe. Thus, Sukadeva Goswami concludes, though the sun moves from east to west in the sky from our point of view, in relation to the Zodiac and other stars, the sun appears to move from Aries to Taurus and to other signs in the opposite direction. Thus, the sun can be said to be moving clockwise as well as counterclockwise simultaneously. Thus, we can see the movements of sun both in clockwise and counterclockwise. Here in the earth in reference. Now, let us see the same thing in a simulation with little bit more accurate results. When we convert the approximated 360 rounds into 366 rounds and the approximated 1 degree lag of sun every day, every round to be 0.9836 rounds, and the approximation of 13 degrees with respect to moon's lag to be 13.11, something like that. to have more precise understanding of daily observations. Here and we see at the 0th round, the time wheel, sun and moon are situated at the same starting point, Mesha and Ashwini, respectively. After one round of the time wheel, the sun is behind by 0.98 degree, the moon is behind by 13 point some degrees. So thus, the moon moved from Ashwini to Bharani Nakshatra. After one more round, the moon moved from Bharani to Kritika Nakshatra and sun is behind by 2 degrees. After one more round, the moon is moved from Kritika to Rohini and sun is behind by 3 degrees. Thus, if they are allowed to move for 30 rounds, the moon is behind by approximately 390 degrees, the sun is behind by 30 degrees. Thus, both are at the same position. At the 0th point, both sun and moon are at the same position, and after 30 rounds also both sun and moon are at the same position. This causes a phenomena called new moon day. This particular day when moon comes in front of sun, that is called new moon day. And then after another 30 rounds, that is to after 60 rounds, both sun and moon seems to be at the same position. After 92 rounds, the sun covered 90 degrees, the moon might have gone behind by 3 rounds and also 90 plus degrees. After 183 rounds, the sun is behind by 180 degrees, the moon must have been behind by 6 rounds and more than half round. After 274 rounds, the sun is behind by 270 degrees and the moon must be behind by 9 rounds and close to 10 rounds. Then after the completion of 366 rounds of the time wheel, the sun comes back to the original position making 365 rounds and the moon makes 13.33 reverse revolutions with respect to the time wheel, and with respect to sun it will do 12.33 reverse revolution, thus indicating there are 12 months and 1/3 of additional month. After the completion of 732 rounds, the sun might have made 2 reverse revolutions, the moon might have made 26.66 reverse revolutions, and after the completion of 1098 rounds, the sun might have made 3 reverse revolutions, the moon might have made 40 reverse revolutions with respect to time wheel and 37 reverse revolution with respect to sun, causing 37 months pass in 3 years. When we put the same thing in a tabulated form, here and we see after the one round of time wheel, the sun is behind by 1 degree, moon is behind by 13 degrees. This is the old table, the same thing. When we convert the same things with little bit pointers, that the sun is behind by 0.9936 degrees after one round, the moon is ahead of behind by 13.11475 degrees after one round. If they are allowed to go for 2 rounds, the sun is behind by 1.96 rounds, the moon is behind by 26.22 rounds. After 27.45 rounds of the time wheel, the sun is behind by 27 degrees and the moon is behind by 360 degrees. In this many rounds of the time wheel, it is called the moon comes back to the starting point, thus making one round. So wherein when sun comes back to the original position after completing one round, that is actually called as one day, that is one sunrise to another sunrise. Within the 27.45 rounds of the time wheel, there have passed 27.375 days, causing the sun move around 27.37 rounds, and within that time the moon moves around 26.45 rounds, causing one complete reverse round with respect to time wheel, wherein we can see the time wheel has made 27.45 rounds and the moon has made 26.45 rounds. That moon is behind by one round with respect to time wheel. As they were allowed, when time wheel completes 29.676 rounds, the sun is behind by 29.19 degrees, the moon is behind by 360 plus 29.19 degrees. Thus both sun and moon are situated at the same position. By then the sun had completed 29.5946 days. Thus, within every 29.5946 days there will be new moon day. There will be another new moon day. This is one lunar month. Thus, it indicates lunar month comes after every 29.5946 days. As they were allowed to move further, when time wheel completes 356.11 rounds, 356.11 rounds, the sun lags behind by 350.27 degrees and the moon lags behind by 350.27 degrees and 12 rounds. Here it indicates that this is the 12th Amavasya, wherein 355.135 days have been passed. For every month when it takes 29.59 or approximately 29.6 days, for the completion of 12 months it takes 355.135 days. These are 12 lunar months. But in a solar year we have approximately there are 365 days. When time wheel completes 366 rounds, the sun completes 365 days, going behind by one complete round. In the same time, the moon goes behind by 12 rounds or 13.11 rounds with respect to time wheel and 12.33 rounds with respect to 13.333 rounds with respect to time wheel and 12.33 rounds with respect to sun, thus causing 12.333 months pass by. Then if they are allowed to continue for another 366 rounds, then sun makes 2 reverse revolutions and moon makes 26.667 reverse revolution with respect to time wheel and 24.667 months are reverse revolutions with respect to sun. As they were allowed to move another 366 rounds, the sun goes behind by 3 rounds, the moon goes behind by 40 rounds with respect to time wheel or 37 rounds with respect to sun. Thus, there will be 37 lunar months within 3 solar years, causing 1 additional month approximately within every 3 years. Even herein we have taken an approximation of when time wheel completes 366 rounds, the sun completes 365 rounds, that is equal to 365 days, that is equal to a year. But in reality, a year consists of 365.25 days. To cover that, time wheel has to cover 366.25 rounds. But in order to avoid confusion, we have taken round figure to explain the phenomena. This is how both sun and moon are moving along with time wheel in the clockwise direction, and they are moving behind in counterclockwise direction with respect to time wheel. Thus, there are 2 movements for both sun and moon. For all the calculations of astronomy and astrology, the difference of the movement of sun and moon with respect to time wheel are of prime importance. Herein we see a table which compiles all the information that was spoken till now. The zodiac wheel or the time wheel has been divided into 12 months. The 12 months are Mesha, Vrishaba, Mithuna, Karaka, Simha, Kanya, Tula, Vrishika, Danu, Makara, Kumbha, Meena. And in the Gregorian calendar month, the dates when sun enters into each and every zodiac sign are Mesha is 14th April to 14th May, Vrishaba is 15th May to 14th June, like that. The Meena is 13th March to 13th April, and again on the 14th April sun again enters into Mesha. This shows how the sun is passing in the time wheel, passing through one after the other all the 12 zodiac signs in 1 year. As sun passes through like this, causing the atmospheric changes in the world around us, we experience 6 seasons in a year. We experience In Mesha and Vrushabha, as sun passing through Vasanta Rutu, the spring season. As sun passing through Mithuna and Karka, we experience Grishma Rutu or summer. As sun passing through Simha and Kanya, we experience Varsha Rutu or monsoon. As sun passing through Thula or Vrishika, we experience Sharad Rutu or autumn. As the sun passing through Dhanu and Makara, we experience Hemanta Rutu or winter season. As sun passing through Kumbha and Meena, we experience Shishtar Rutu or pre-veneral season. It's like that. As it was shown previously, the zodiac belt also consists of 27 nakshatras, wherein their relative locations are shown here. Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, etc. all the way up to Revati are situated within the time wheel here. And as seen from the previous two slides, as both sun and moon are making their movement along with the time wheel, they also go in the opposite direction with respect to time wheel, thus causing different months. For the last 3 years, 2016 to 17, 17 to 18 and 18 to 19, the lunar months with respect to the English calendar dates are shown here. The Chaitra, the month known as Chaitra, has started in 2016 on 8th April and it lasted till 6th May. And Vaishaka started on 7th May, it lasted till 5th June. Like that, as they are allowed to continue, the 12th month completed on 28th March. The first month started on 8th April, the 12th month completed on 28th March. Thus, clearly indicates in 355 days the 12 months have been passed. On 29th March, the next year again started, and that year ended on 17th March, causing within 354 days the 12 months have been passed. And then in the third year, on 18th March, the third year started, the causing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12th month has been completed on 6th March, wherein on 18th March the first day has started. After the completion of 354 days, the 12th month is completed. But in the beginning, the first year, the Chaitra month started on 8th April. After the completion of 36 months, 36 months are completed only on 6th March. Thus there is a difference of another a month, that is accumulation of 10 days over each year, that will cause 37th month in the third year. Thus the first month has started on 8th April, the 37th month completed on the 5th April after the passing of 37 months. But in this particular third year, there we can see the Jyeshta masa, the month known as Jyeshta coming twice. One is on 16th May to 13th June, the second one is 14th June to 13th July. Now let us see the same table in a circular fashion, wherein we see all the details indicated here. Here and we see the outermost circle indicates the 27 nakshatras, this being the starting point Ashwini. The second circle shows the 12 zodiac signs with their calendar dates, and the third circle indicates the seasons in association with zodiac signs, and the fourth, fifth, sixth indicate the lunar years of 2016-17, 2017-18, 2018-19, wherein in the year 2016 the first lunar month known as Chaitra started here, and as both sun and moon around, after the completion of 12 months here in the 12th month passed, the next year started with Chaitra, beginning month Chaitra, and 12 months completed here with a passage of 354 days, leaving 10 days additional dates. Then there wherein third year starts with Chaitra month, and after the completion of 3 years 12 months it comes here, thus leaving behind 10 days every year. Adding all the 10 days together, it causes additional 37th month. Thus approximately within 3 years we have 37 months, wherein the first Chaitra month started here, the 37th month completed here, almost in the same position. Thus in every 3 years we can have one additional month. But herein we will discuss little bit how is that these months and why is that this particular month will be called as Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jyeshta, Ashada, etc. etc. This is how the time will continuously moves in circular fashion, taking along with him sun and moon. Herein it is explained in the Vedic calendars that on the day of Paurnami, that is the full moon day, in whichever nakshatra or to whichever nakshatra the moon is very close to, that month will be called with the name of that nakshatra. Herein, for example, we see at the very beginning both sun and moon are started here. This particular situation is called when both sun and moon are in the same line, that is called Amavasya. As they are allowed to move for 15 rounds approximately, every round the sun is going behind by 1 degree, that means sun goes behind by 15 degrees. The moon is going behind by approximately 13 degrees. After 15 rounds the moon goes behind by 180 and odd degrees, 185 degrees, etc. So 180 and 100 degrees, something like that. So thus the moon appears to be in the exactly opposite direction of the sun. When moon comes in the exactly opposite direction with a lag of 180 degrees with respect to sun, that is called full moon day. On that particular day, in whichever nakshatra the moon is in or to whichever nakshatra the moon is close to, based on that nakshatra that month is called. Herein we have 27 nakshatras, thus we cannot have 27 months. There are only 12 months. Only 12 nakshatras are chosen to be given a name to a month. So herein we see the moon is very close to Chitra nakshatra and Swati nakshatra. Thus that month can be called as Chitra or Swati, but the sages have chosen Chitra nakshatra and its transformation called as Chaitra. The month is called as Chaitra month. And then in the next also we can see in the next year, this is the duration of the month, exactly in the middle of the month the moon is exactly in Chitra nakshatra. And then in the next year, here and we can see the moon is here, the month is here, the moon is exactly in the middle. It is in Asta nakshatra, which is very close to Chitra nakshatra. That's why the month is called as Chaitra mas. Thus in these three conditions we can see that particular month is called as Chaitra. The same thing can be seen with respect to some other condition. Herein, when sun is traveling in Simha Rashi, the moon is seen in Dhanishta nakshatra. During that time there is Shravana mas. It is exactly in the middle of Shravana mas. The Shravana nakshatra is very close to Dhanishta nakshatra. And then in the next year, when the same here sun is exactly in the middle of the Shravana month, then the moon is very close to Shravana month, Shravana nakshatra. When the next year, when the sun is situated exactly in the middle of the Shravana month, that particular day the moon is in Shatabhisha nakshatra, which is somewhat close to Shravana nakshatra. This is how we can understand how each and every month are given a title with respect to the name of the star. Thus there is a direct correlation. But in the same astrological charts it is also mentioned that how is it that this particular month, though it is close to or nearby, here in this particular month also can be called as Bhadra also. Why only it is called as Shravana, wherein Bhadra comes later on Bhadrapada months? Here this particular moon is very close to Bhadra. It should have been called Bhadra month. Why it is called as Shravana month? There is a reason for that. For every month, every lunar month to be called with a particular specific name, it should also have a specific transition of sun from a particular zodiac sign to another zodiac sign. As sun moves from Meena to Mesha, from this zodiac sign to this zodiac sign, that particular month is called as Chaitra. For example, here in we see this is the Chaitra month of 2016. which had the transition of sun from Meena to Mesha, and this is 2017's Chaitra Mas, which has the transition of sun from Meena to Mesha, and this is 2018th Chaitra Mas, which has the sun's transition from Meena to Mesha. This is seen here. So like that, as sun passes from Meena to Mesha, it is shown here, and sun passes from Mesha to Vrishabha, it is called as Vaishakha Mas. As sun passes from Vrishabha to Mithuna, it is called as Jyeshta Mas. As sun passes from Mithuna to Karaka, it is called Ashadha Mas. As sun passes from Karaka to Simha, it is called Shravana Mas. As sun passes from Simha to Kanya, it is called as Bhadrapada Mas. As sun passes from Kanya to Tula, it is called as Ashvaja Mas. As sun passes from Tula to Vrishika, it is called Kartika Mas. As sun passes from Vrishika to Dhanu, it is called as Margashirsha Mas. Sun passes from Dhanu to Makara, it is called as Pausha Mas. Sun passes from Makara to Kumbha, it is called as Magha Mas. From Kumbha to Meena, it is called as Phalguna. From Meena to Mesha, it is called as Chaitra Mas. Thus, there is a transition of sun from one zodiac sign to other zodiac sign, causing 12 months successively. So, there are two possibilities supposed to be there. That is, on the full moon day, the moon should be close to one of these, close to or within that nakshatra, and the sun should also pass from one zodiac sign to other zodiac sign. It is understood from the previous slides that sun takes approximately 31.55 days to move from one zodiac sign to other zodiac sign, and similarly moon takes 29.6 days approximately to go from one Amavasya to another Amavasya, that is, to complete one lunar month. There the moon takes 29.6 days approximately. Thus, there could be a possibility once in a while that this 29.6 days of one lunar month can come within 35.55 days of a solar zodiac month. So, whenever a lunar month does not see a solar transition of a zodiac sign, that particular month is called as extra month or adhika mas in Vedic calendar. Herein we see in this particular chart, here at this particular point, after the zodiac transition of sun, as it enters into Vrishabha, there is the lunar month is starting, and the lunar month ends just before the zodiac transition happens. Thus, this particular lunar month, though it is completing one new moon day to new moon day, but it does not see any zodiac transition, then we don't know what name it should be given with. But whichever zodiac transition is coming next, based on that the name is given to this particular month with an epithet called extra or adhika. Thus, this particular month which does not see any zodiac transition is called as extra Jyeshta. For the next month is called as Jyeshta. Thus, in every 3 years approximately, there will be one additional lunar month which does not see any zodiac transition, thus causing a additional lunar month approximately in every 3 years. This is how the entire lunar calendar is formed based on the movement of sun and moon with respect to the time wheel. Here we can see the same time wheel with all the symbols. This is what it continuously moves. Here we see the same time wheel. Here we see the same time wheel with symbols. Thus, it has been explained till now how the daily motion of the sun and moon with respect to sun with respect to the time wheel causes day, month, years, and etc. 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 In the next presentation, we will see by this motion of sun and moon with respect to time wheel how the moon is changing its phases day in day out. Thank you very much.